to the Nightcap. It's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and it's guys' night. Oh, they ready. Don't worry, we're gonna have the ladies over too, because we're talking about a very sensitive subject. Money. And it plays a role in every relationship. Does it make it? Does it break it? Should women who make as much as men still split things, or should they be treated and provided for? And do men feel a certain way when a woman makes more? Should they get an extra allowance because they got to keep up with their hair and their nails? So much to discuss. And I've got the fellas here ready to dive in. So let's get into it.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
Hey, where did all our money go? Well, I either ate it or I'm wearing it. Mother...
She's either eating it or wearing it. Fellas. All right, we've got Scott Shug back in the building. Welcome. I love you in this brown neutral color.
Thank you.
I don't think I've seen you in brown
Thank
before.
You. No, it's working a 70s cop vibe.
Okay, you nailed it. Next to you, we've got the love guru, Sam Williamson. Welcome back.
That's right.
And
Glad
we've
to
got
be here.
Rashard, who we saw before the big game. All right, fellas, how important are finances in any relationship?
Very important.
Really?
Yes. If you have money, you're gonna have a better looking woman. You have less money, it's gonna be slim pickings. So.
Scott, I see you ruminating on that. Like you're thinking about
Well, no. There's absolutely, in terms of the biological hierarchy, that's this, if we were in the wild, there would be different mating mechanisms, but finances really do, certainly in Western culture, dictate a lot of that. So
Absolutely.
I can absolutely agree with that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on finance and relationships?
It doesn't tend to be an issue in most of my relationships. I mean, it's either commingled and it's all cool, or it's separate and it isn't. And it stands alone.
But is it an important thing to discuss, do you think? Or let's not even talk about it.
Were you talking about in the beginning of a relationship?
Yeah, I think the timing is really like what you say. I think the timing really determines.
Sure.
There's an evolution for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. How early do you start talking about money in a relationship?
Let's back up. Money only makes a big difference depending on how much the female likes you. If a girl really likes you, you can get away with more and do less, as opposed to someone that they don't really like.
He preaching now.
And also equity in terms of who, who's bringing what, and if there's enough money on both sides, it doesn't tend to have to be as intermingled a
even
thing.
out. Out.
In my generation, and especially with social media influencing it the way that it is, it is a completely different ball game as opposed to my parents, where you really see it on
Absolutely.
Those questions are like, hey man, that's secondary. Right now, is the foundation good? Is the love good? Do I feel like I can trust you? From a character standpoint, where do you stand? Where do you stand on certain things in terms of just morality? As opposed to in my generation, it really comes across as like, that's one of the first 5 questions out the gate, first date. We can't even go to the movies. You can't go to the movies no more.
I've had a woman ask me, what do you bring? Like what do you offer?
I mean, and what do you think? What do you think the balance should be? All of you are straight, right? You're in
Absolutely.
heterosexual relationships.
Yes.
What do you think the balance should be in the relationship? Should it be 50-50? Should the man be providing? What exactly does providing mean? Like what, when it comes to money, how do y'all break it down?
I was always brought up with my father, right? So I was raised by my father. And my father was like, at the bare minimum as a man, you should be a provider, right?
But what does that mean, right?
Well, that means that, if I'm married to you, right, I'm gonna pay for the house, I'm gonna pay most of the bills because I am a provider, right? If you're just my girlfriend, that means something totally different because I'm not your daddy, so I'm not gonna do what your daddy would do.
And I think when you ask that question, it is a really loaded question, kind of like what we talked about in the beginning. There's an evolution process to it. I think the problem that we run into right now is that the provider question comes up in the beginning. And it's like, well, first of all, I don't even know you to know if that's a role that I want to fulfill for you. Like you said, now that we're married or we're talking about marriage or, you know, I see that in you to make that investment in you, then yeah, we have no problem with providing once that's established.
If I like you, I want to share what I have with you.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to pay for someone to like me.
Yeah,
Never.
that's the problem.
Never.
All right,
I'm not going to
Scott,
pay for your
You're a little
affection.
quiet over here.
Well, I mean, I think there was a different social contract for a long time, and it's like, and I also, I mean, I just tend to date really high functioning, put together alpha women who have like money and means. You know, I mean, you know,
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
so I mean, it just becomes less of an issue. It's like, you know, and if I'm not, you know, and at my age, if I'm not going after, you know, a 22-year-old girl who's living on her Insta and her OnlyFans, you know. So that's a
true.
different, you
That
know,
matters.
you know, what are
It
you
does matter.
bringing
It does.
what are
It
you
does.
bringing to me?
That
You
matters.
know? Not that I don't like to date younger, but you know.
Yeah, we know Scott. We know Scott. All right, you stay right there. More of this conversation after the break. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We're having a guys' night talking about relationships and money. We've got Scott, Sam, and Rashard. All right, fellas. As we know, feminism has taken over. Women are trying to make that shmoney, become independent, have their own house, their own car, their own everything. And they're starting to surpass their men in income. Now, a study just came out saying that men are not happy with that. They don't like that imbalance where women are making more than them. They feel uncomfortable. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's for sure. I mean, I always look at women as being the vastly superior of the genders. So
He's said that time and time again. I can vouch for that.
That is so they are now being rewarded for a very operationally efficient mind. You know, they out function us on every really meaningful level. So, I mean, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, if you work hard, you should be paid for it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm never going to be intimidated if a woman makes more money than me unless she's Oprah. So if she's Oprah,
why would that even be intimidating?
Why would Oprah be intimidated?
Oprah can talk crazy to me. She'd be like, "Shut up!" I'd be like, "She's so crazy." Oprah crazy. Oprah, you crazy girl.
But you can be like, I want a new plane. Baby.
Right.
You know, I mean, just
Right.
I mean, so question, and maybe answering the question with a question. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Come on.
But I think I think you need some context to that. Like, men feel uncomfortable. I guess my first question would be, what is occurring to make them feel uncomfortable? Is it something going on?
That's true.
But in their relationship? Like, is it one of those things where it's like, it ain't no fun unless the rabbit has the gun, so now that the roles have changed, she's doing things to make him uncomfortable, or is it an insecurity in him?
I don't
It's
think
probably
women.
an insecurity.
for sure.
Sorry, I don't know the full study, but if she is able to pay for her house, pay for her car, and take herself on a shopping spree, what is the man bringing to the table then? His role is, his identity as a man in the relationship has changed.
So you said something. You said his role, right? So women have a hard time making more money than a man because that's not been traditionally the way, right? So I hear women all the time that make a lot of money and they say, well, I intimidate guys. And I was like, who is this guy, right? You know, who is this guy that you're intimidating? Well, it's probably because she's doing a lot of stuff because she's like, I make more money than you. Because the question, women get mad and say, men ask the question about what women bring to the table. And they were like, what type of man does that? But it's the women that started it. It's women that started saying, I'm doing this, I'm in college, I got a master, I got a doctor, I make more money, now what do you bring to the table? And now you got men asking it back.
But that isn't always the case. Like, let me just talk about my girlfriends who have their own businesses. They drive Range Rovers. Like, you can tell they have money.
Right.
And both of them have shared the same experience where a man was taking them back after the date to their car and they were like, oh, you got money. immediately they were like, oh
Well,
my
you
God,
shouldn't be
like,
dating a
that's-
dude with a Honda Accord. That was who she. You gonna do that if you got a Honda Accord?
Well,
That's
they
what
have
he's
no
gonna
idea
do.
if they have a Honda Accord leading up to the date. How
Well,
would
that's
they
a
know
fine
that?
vehicle.
Baby, I drove a Honda Civic for a long time up until a couple months ago. So baby, it
But why
works.
was that a turn off? Because he said, "Oh, you got money."
Because why even bring that up, right?
Women
Why
do
would a
it all
man
the
do that?
time.
Yeah, women do. But why would a man say that to a woman?
I guess my thing is like when you talk about these men, like you said, you believe that it's an insecurity. I think that yes, and you said a really strong word. That's their identity is found in that. Where is why can't it be a matter of yes, you know, bills and her house, she's able to do all of those things, but like emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you know what I'm saying? Like
True.
those things
All
are
those are
provision.
valuable.
Yeah, all those are valuable. Those
All
are
of those are
provision as
valuable.
well.
Yeah.
I believe that provision can look a lot of different ways. We just have to, as men, open our minds to be able to provide that, and as women, be open to receiving those things that may be outside of the realm of just money.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be a trophy husband at any point, you know.
Baby,
Tell 'em,
we
Stan.
gonna talk about being a trophy partner.
what to
You
do.
stay right there because the trophies are coming up next. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about money and relationships. These fellas are getting out of hand. This guy's now. We've got Scott, Sam, and Rashard. All right, we've talked about what it means to be a provider, and it goes beyond the finances. But I think some men do have a struggle identifying how else to provide beyond that. It is emotional support. It is being there in other ways. But towards the end, you brought up being a trophy husband, and you got no problems doing that.
No, and I mean, I have been sugared for a lot of the last decade of my life. So
You
know,
have been sugared a lot.
So it's you know, I mean, this is not the reverse of what we're used to in the gender roles. It certainly, you know, for me is not.
I'm gonna start hanging out with you, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I mean,
Scott.
yeah, you gotta
I
learn
wanna
a
see what
lot from
sugaring.
Scott.
I want to see what sugaring feels like. I want to
yeah.
be sugared.
I'm doing it.
Sugar me up.
I'm gonna do a TED talk. So,
Yeah,
You need to. You really need to. Okay, sorry, but we're going to talk about the ladies. So, how do y'all feel about giving your woman an allowance to go get her hair done, get her nails done? I have an article where a woman says that her husband gives her $206 a month so that she can go do her women things.
206.
That's cheap.
That's literally what she says. That's cheap.
That's cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scott?
No, yeah, no, that's I mean, no. I mean, if you were in the position to provide,
Right.
and that's the
That's it.
relationship that's
That part.
and like that is your allowance, that's
Right.
anemic.
That's anemic. Okay.
I think
Rashard?
no, I'm not opposed to it. I also think that if you call it I think it sounds really good. But I guarantee you, fellas, do not call it an allowance because I feel like that would start a war in itself. Like allowance.
Some women like it.
Well,
I've heard girls say they get allowance.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. The women that I've dealt with, and like I said, I'm younger. They accumulate allowance with like as children, the children-parent dynamic.
Oh.
So they look at it like, well, you know, you're allowing me to. So I personally wouldn't call it that. I think that if she is being there and being supportive and doing all of the things that you need for her to do, I see nothing wrong with it.
That part.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with
That
it.
Okay,
part.
so
Here, baby,
I
here's
go-
your
I
packet
go-
of joy.
I go get my nails and my toes done with when I have a girlfriend all the time. So if I got a girl, we're going to get our nails and toes done. I don't have a problem with paying for hair if it's reciprocated. If you're
exactly.
doing something for me, and I don't mean money, because sometimes when people hear reciprocity, they think
money.
economic swap for swap. No, I'm not saying it. But if you're the type of person like I'm tend to be disorganized. If you come over my house and you clean my office and you keep me organized, man, that's priceless for me.
okay, so I have another example of a woman who gets $100 a month, or is it a week? A month or a week from her? It's a week.
Yes,
a
let's go a
weekly
week.
$100 allowance from her husband to cook and clean for him. What are y'all's thoughts on
why?
that?
I mean, that's
Well, he
so
said
cheap.
why.
Like $100.
I hate to take us back to the beginning. But I think a lot of these questions can be answered by what Love Guru said in the beginning. First of all, if I like you and I'm in love with you and this is what we're doing, then the money itself, like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you did this, that, and that, so I'm giving you this. It's like, no, I want to do these things for you.
If they're in relationship and like that's the role and responsibility, then it's their money. Right? I mean, it's their money.
Okay.
The idea of like cordoning off that this is your this is your 100, baby. Go take this hundo, and
that's crazy.
It's like she should have a bank card to that
or a credit card. To cook and clean would be just something I would do for as a woman. I should see you would just want to do for your husband because you love him. So why would I have to pay you for it?
So if you love her, what would you do? Would you cook and clean for her?
Yes, we have to eat.
I'm an amazing cook.
So
I cook all the
we're
time.
all cooking and cleaning.
Yeah,
we are cooking
I
and
like
cleaning.
to eat. I don't like messy things. So if I'm making home before you, hey man, I mean, I ain't the best cook. I'm not gonna lie to you. It might not be what you want. It might not be, but I'm great for cleaning.
And I'm the opposite. I'm an amazing cook, but I don't want to clean.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but attaching a price to it, that just sounds real punitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Just being real.
These people are passionate. You stay right there. We got to talk about 8 and a little bit more after the break. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been having a guys' night talking about money and relationships, but shout out to Troy Aikman, baby, because he sent us his light beer 8. It's made right, they say. It's organic and it's low carb, low cal. So, if you're working now trying to keep that figure but want to have a brewski, you can try some 8. But let me talk to my fellas. We've got Scott, Sam, and Rashard. So I feel like y'all just got it together, which is different. Like, I feel like men who are at a lower income bracket and are struggling just as much as their counterpart, finances become a point of contention in relationships.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important. And we're gonna hear from the ladies tomorrow. As far as the allowances, which you guys hate the term, do you think that they're gonna be pro or anti-allowances?
Probably depending on the age.
Yeah, age and income, education. It's going to come into
age and college education.
It's going to come into. It's going to be a socioeconomic split.
Okay. When it comes to the conversation about women making more money than their partner, how do you think they're going to feel about it?
I don't think they're going to have any problem with that, and I think any guy that's really having an issue with that is really just having. He is not comfortable with who he is.
He's insecure.
I see very beautiful women coming to Dove's to my restaurant, and they just, I love it. Like all spectrums, they making it happen.
We're talking about money. You can't buy masculinity and femininity.
There you go.
And I think as long as the mindset is in place, I think even with her making more, him making more, I think if the mindset is in place and everybody's on the same page, it really shouldn't be that big of an issue.
It's so true. That's brilliant.
Men
want to be men, women want to be women for the most part in a traditional relationship, and it's like, we're defining it with money. And that's so
But
Western.
can we be honest though? That is our culture.
Oh, for
That
sure.
is the
That's what I'm saying.
way-
That's why it's Western.
Like, so if you sit up and say, well, you shouldn't be like this, the fact of the matter is, it is.
Everything we've identified where it wouldn't be a problem is when they're on the same level. Both at 50, we both broke. This is not a problem.
Right.
Both millionaires. We both millionaires. Not a problem. But what do you do when somebody is at 50?
That's what I asked
and
earlier.
someone else is at 300,000?
If a woman is making significantly more, it's a problem.
Absolutely.
Men are going to feel insecure about it, and she's going to feel like, what is he bringing to the table? If he's not making me emotionally secure, if he's not cooking and cleaning at home, if he's bringing more stress to my life, and I'm making more money, and I'm stepping into this masculine role, what are you doing?
But even if you do all of that, some women will hold it against them.
Yeah,
Like I've seen it with other people. I mean,
And do you think it's because of the societal norms and expectations?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen very few women that's okay with making significantly more money, because that's the objective word, significantly more money. Places you want to go, things you want to do.
You can do, and he can't.
And he can't. So now he's struggling to keep that up. So my opinion, and I don't want to come off chauvinist, I just don't think women can handle making that much more money than they men.
And the men can handle being on
I think some men can, but I think there's a lot of men that are, they get intimidated. I wouldn't say that either. But I think a lot of times what he said earlier, it's how you react if your man, you make more money than your man.
The general sentiment of when the man has the money, he exerts his power because of his financial status, and as a result, the woman may feel uncomfortable. But like I said before, when the role is reversed, it seems like that is impossible. There's no way that the woman can be exerting her power through finances to make, like, the power dynamic always shifts. Like it never stays on the same
has
side.
the money has
and
the
it goes
power.
with the man. I'm just saying that the villain role seems to go with the man no matter which side of the pendulum he's on.
I agree with that.
Baby, money. More money, more problems. All right, well, we're going to hear from the ladies tomorrow. This is a great way to start Valentine's Day week. All right, cheers to you. We'll see you tomorrow to hear from the ladies.